Who are the ones who said good morning from the right side? Great. So let's start with some entitlements. We would like to have all the speakers and the UC leaders come in the front rows, please. Is anyone sitting in the back, the speakers or the UC leaders? If you are, please sit in the front. Very, very difficult to locate because we've been doing this exercise across our events where we are fetching speakers from the lounge or in the smoking zone or maybe outside conversing over mobile. I think it's best. It's a very hot weather. Suggest before the tempers run high, sit in the front. Thank you so much, first of all, for coming up in the morning. I know it's like something we always make an attempt to start with what we call an awakening sense of things which we haven't seen. And my presentation and the entire narration today comes with a disclaimer. Whatever I would be actually talking about out here do not belong to me. All my thought processes, narratives, perspectives have been aggregated by speaking with our 3AI thought leaders, UC leaders, GLC and changemaker. And I'll tell you why there are some of the things which are absolutely crucial for us to know today. One, if any one of you today is writing on LinkedIn, AI expert, AI practitioner, AI savant, AI guru, please eliminate that. The bigger the experience in AI, rather, the larger the experience in AI, the bigger reset you'll have to do. And keep in mind, I'll be talking today, and the speakers and the moderators will be talking a lot today about something called reset. There is a great level of reset which is happening today in the AI fraternity segment industry. Simple premise of that reset is whatever has been learned or has been worked in the past will not be functional anymore, right from today. Sounds music? I'll show you something. Let's start with something. Many of our leaders today are traveling from outside of Bangalore, and for the ones who have joined being new to our event, for the uninitiated, as they always say, the tickers don't work when it's supposed to work. This is the reason why we are creating some really good assets, properties, and what I call unmatched and really cutting-edge provocative content because of this entire, I would say, the base what we have. 1,700 by and wide chosen AI, data engineering, cloud, best of the leaders out here. A great, I would say, penetration into GCCs with their ensuing country heads and MDs also being part of that. And what gives us much more, I would say, impetus is the leadership forums which have started coming together now to produce what I call really some great IPs. And we will make some announcements today in terms of what those IPs are, which are nothing but a detailed output by the leaders who've taken self-initiative to contribute and say, look, why don't we start something in those whole realms of GCCs and AI or even enterprises or provider firms. Just to kind of give a view, 4 leadership forum, all by white upper crest, which is I would say the top of the line eclectic market, GCC leaders, country heads, AI leaders who are absolutely, I would say, noteworthy. Thought leaders and GLCs are what I call the signature buy-and-wide forums of AI. And when I say AI, by the way, it subsumes analytics, data engineering, Gen AI, 𝗕𝗘𝗬𝗢, every part of that nomenclature put together, and GLC put together. That's where 1,700 of our leaders actually are functional, and change maker, which is where we say the emerging leaders between 5 to 15 years, the architects, the solutioning, or the folks who are really doing some AI building, 450 of them. Now, amongst those leaders, the premise of 𝗲𝗏𝗏 from the beginning has always been that, look, there is a concept which is very well etched out, what we call thought leadership. It doesn't come in terms of just creating a kind of a narrative. It comes in with clearly identifying where you belong as a part of your expertise, fungible expertise as I call it. Second, does that expertise translate into a differentiated point of view, what we call POV, and is it really coming out in those credible forums? That's exactly what our emphasis has been in terms of what we call build, scale, and accentuate thought leadership at scale under 𝗲𝗏𝗏. What started, what I really call more like a serendipity today, it's about functional in majority of the cities. In fact, I'm glad to kind of also share with the group close to about 170, 180 TLCs, GLCs have actually traveled today outside of Bangalore, from Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune, even NCR, Mumbai and all. And a good part of them, about them is they've been with us as a part of TLC, GLC for quite a number of years. Very, very tenured kind of, let's say, set of leaders out here. More important, if we need some aspects about creating those thought leadership cities, you need those forums. Events are passing. To us today, summits, events, conclaves are a way to demonstrate, build thought leadership at scale, which also means if the content, agenda, themes are not topical, not contemporary, not making the cut, and also not making you think or cogitate, it's better to network outside. I think the learning starts out here. Last 4 years from the time, we opened up after COVID, through these events, our main attempt has always been that, look, if today there are two industries which needs a great level of reset, and it's, I would say, urgent than ever before. One is AI, the second is GCC, because both of them are going through what I call the gold rush era. And gold rush, more than the success, also produces many of the failures. And that's why, as a preemptive, what are those fault lines appearing is something what we will discuss today. A lot of credible awards we have established over the years. More importantly, each of the 𝗲𝗏𝗏 offerings today have become formidable. It's very, very fascinating to kind of, really absorb these things. GCC1 platform, we started almost 2.5 years back. This was all about the business requirements of the GCCs, getting serviced by the select partners which come on board at 𝗲𝗏𝗏, and how we are enabling a very, very clear narrative for them to become very, very viable for the GCCs. 400 GCCs, 700 leaders, that's a very good melting pot, even for GCCs to look at what's happening outside as a part of the ecosystem. Very glad to, in fact, announce SIGs. Now, this has been making for almost 12 months. We do understand leaders have their own time constraints, they have scheduling issues, but from the last 7 to 8 months, there has been a spate of progress in terms of how 6 are coming alive today. Each one of these 6 are being held by different, I would say, leaders by industry segments. We also have agentic AI, and we also have a new set which, without taking the thunder, will announce today. which is coming out with India's first GCC Leaders Cricket League. Again, all these imaginations, all these ideas have been part of those sessions what we've been doing across the cities. Miraki, our executive search, was just an idea about one UC leader said, look, can you help us positioning me better? And that really touched the chord where we felt, look, if we know the nuances of these leaders, if we know the intricacies in terms of the expertise, the deltas also we bring to the table, why don't we look at really making them meet with the right employers? 32 searches when done in the last couple of years, and glad some of these search have been very, very, I would say, selective in terms of how the leaders are being looked today from attributes and skills with a very, very multifarious approach. And also, not to take out some of the other six which have been, I would say, or rather, some of these offerings which have been in motion for quite some time. GCC One platform, glad to share from the last, I would say, few months, the activity what we're doing on GCC One platform has picked up. There are close to about 32 partners who are on our GCC One platform with 400 GCCs and what we call a 5x15 matrix in terms of the business requirement, right from skilling to talent to consulting to AI or to even, let's say, real estate. We're glad to kind of mention close to about 27 million worth of business has been generated on the GCC One platform by sheer accumulation of what we call understanding the right need of the GCCs and putting, more importantly, the right partner in a champion challenger mode. Now, let's take the second segment, Beyond. This is exactly what you are here for. 4 years back, when we started our first edition of Beyond, the premise was simple. Can we make an event which focuses on AI, but the new next of AI? A lot of discussions today are being done around the art of possible. Now, what's happening? So far, so good. When you're talking about the new age AI, let me ask a question, in fact. How many of you have been doing analytics AI from last 20 years? Can I see the show of hands, please? Okay. How many of you have been doing analytics AI for the last 10 years? So the ones who have shown in the 20 years may not belong in 10 years or what? Okay. How many of you have been doing AI analytics from the last 5 years? Most of the hands go up from the back. Why is that? Any responses? Why the folks at the back are raising hands much more than the folks in the front? Let me tell you. Maybe next few years, if this is how the reset continues in AI, they may be in the front. Maybe the speakers, maybe the AI practice leaders, maybe the kind of AI heads of some of the companies. Experience has started becoming a taboo in AI. If you're not knowing this, just go and start meeting some of the AI builders organization. In our Upper Crest Forum, one of the most provocative discussion happened recently about one-man unicorn, right? Where's Sandeep, where's Dinesh, where's Kaustav, right? We were discussing about this, Rajesh, one-man unicorn. How's that possible? That's purely possible not looking with what we call the traditional lens of AI or analytics. That's exactly what Beyond is trying to attempt today. I'll tell you what it means when it comes to this particular statement, and it's worth kind of reading at your own will. That's why the hashtag of this event is about AI supremacy. But to accomplish AI supremacy, the biggest level playing field needs to happen in terms of the AI set, which means the best practices, trends, topical discussions of the past, or rather the discussions of the past will go away, leading to some new age platforms offering capabilities of AI which have never been experienced before. And which is where it's almost a slugfest today by the enterprises, GCCs, provider firms, and even AI builders to look at establishing AI supremacy. And if that set of segments is not enough, we also have nations today who are fighting a battle for AI supremacy. I don't need to expand or profound that much more. It's very, very visible today. Which also means in every event, what we do, there is a back-end machine which starts working. And this back-end machine is what we call consortium. Simple, we just had about less than 2 months before, I would say, when we did 𝗔𝗍𝗍 2 months back. So between Beyond and 𝗔𝗍𝗍, a 2 months kind of a window, we went back to our trusted thought leaders, GLCs and UC leaders, asking them what exactly should be part of this event. We are also conscious of the themes, what we have represented in the past. We are also aware of the kind of discussions, what has happened in the past, and we said we will not attempt to repeat that. And that's exactly was the reason why 300 almost leaders were approached to kind of create this whole aspect of what we call crowdsourcing of ideas. Second, where you sit in this event is called transformation zone. Post the first tea break, close to about 11:30, we open up the breakout room called innovation zone. Now, the biggest difference for the ones who are not aware, the transformation zone focuses on art of possible. This whole art of possible about the strategic ruminations of AI as we see it today and as we will see it tomorrow. But in the innovation zone, it's about promise to life. Use cases, simulations, examples, artifacts, all are being displayed, I would say displayed over there. Now, biggest differentiator is the set of speakers. Out of 48 speakers who will be talking today, almost 70-75% of them are our UC, TLCs, and GLC leaders, and 65% of them are actually speaking for the first time and beyond. Which also means, in terms of the novelty of the themes and the speaking, I would say, engagement, you will find a very much difference altogether. Not to take out a bunch of announcements staggered throughout the day. We also have our 𝗏𝗏 Awards. 7 categories, almost about 3,000 nominations, and really some tough nomination in terms of who can make the cut. We have that towards the later part of the day. Now, just a very cursory look at the broad themes. For the first time ever, the focus of AI strategy is now coming into the essence for the GCCs. Let me start with that, because the first panel, or the strategic leadership roundtable of today, actually starts with that how today this concept of building AI native GCC is intertwined with the enterprise AI strategy. One of the most vocal, I would say, theme today which is being talked about, and that's where the first panel and the leadership roundtable of the day will focus. Second, not to take out, when we are talking about AI reset, and mark my words, I'll be using AI reset very frequently today. When we talk about AI reset, it's very, very imminent. The classic AI offerings, applications, tools of the past needs to be revised. Which also means the enterprises which are working today, could be Indian, could be global enterprises which are working towards their AI, I would say, interventions, and the provider firms, which includes a whole suite of consulting, BPM, hyperscalers, AI builders, technology players, also have to resurrect their AI offerings. The classic days of just posting supply chain analytics, customer analytics is over, let me tell you. No one is getting any kind of, let's say, sense of, I would say, awakening when we talk about these things. Challenges, the pace of absorption today by the leaders is far more slower than what it should be, which is leading to something what I talk about when I aggregate all of these things coming together. First, a whole set of thanks to our partners. Patrons, absolutely, a lot of these partners came together and understood what we are trying to do as a part of the Beyond. And great part about the partners, which I always keep on saying, they not only put us much more, I would say, easy in terms of financial, I would say, equity. They're also putting in a lot of contribution towards the ideas, what should go in terms of making of this event. Thank you so much, each one of the partners. Now, speakers. I mean, this is something we always say as a part of 𝗕𝗏 as our secret sauce. I mean, eclectic, marquee, seasoned, top of the line, yet all these speakers, personally I know many of them actually, are also in a very, very constant mode of relearning today. My interactions with them one-on-one have often also soaked in these elements that yes, many do understand today that there is an AI reset happening, which also means that the aggregated experience, what they carry, may not be relevant now, but there is a level of resurrection, a new avatar they're ready to do when it comes to really moving to the next level. And you will find them today when they speak how a new narrative is coming out as a part of their own, I would say, understanding and knowledge as well. The key takeaways, which is crucial for any event for you to kind of, let's say, disseminate and also kind of, let's say, internalize it. One, the biggest talk today about agentic AI has also given a lot of, I would say, nightmares to me. There's a constant skepticism, there is always a push about ROI, and third, we don't know how exactly this entire aspect of agentic AI in entirety should work. Let's try to make it easy. For the first time ever, towards the later part of the day, we would be releasing India's first playbook on agentic AI for GCC, full-blown way. 5 leaders from AI, of course they work in different organizations, came together just about 40 days back, took almost this onus and responsibility and said, look, I just gave them a remit that, look, this is a constant kind of a issue and a challenge with many of the leaders, specifically from the GCCs. Do you have a remedy? They said, okay. Now, what you will see when and this book we are releasing as a part of, I would say, the event today, it's a 140-page playbook written absolutely not with the help of ChatGPT or any other OpenAI tool. It's actually a nugget of the aggregated experience which is coming out from all these practitioners put together specifically to make it work. So just kind of hang on to kind of look at this. More importantly, the awards, 7 categories, huge set of, I would say, nominations, but must say some of these folks are incredible rather when they come on the stage to kind of, let's say, get these awards. Let me come to the third and the last segment, which I always call it an awakening segment. There is a reason why today AI is the most talked about business lexicon in the boardrooms. Just look at the number at the back of this slide. $1 trillion almost getting raised last year for the AI firms from a funding perspective. 45 billion alone, almost 50 billion alone went to OpenAI. More importantly, we are talking about out of $5 trillion IT market, $1 trillion of AI analytics data market getting created very soon. By the way, this figure was just about 300 billion just a couple of years back. The CAGR is astounding today. More importantly, when we talk about the context of where we belong, whether you're working in an enterprise or a GCC, don't take out this facet of AI native or AI kind of, let's say, first enterprise like a joke. Now again, nomenclatures can change. I mean, some of you may have your own reservations about AI native or AI first. The fact today is simple. If any enterprise, global Indian, is not able to make AI work in terms of the business metrics, productivity, revenue enhancement, the questions are being asked. Second, of all the GCCs existing and the new ones coming up, AI is a force multiplier. And many of the enterprises today, or the parent organizations today, are really looking at seeding new AI initiatives, capabilities, and offerings in the GCCs who are being set up from day one. That's a big change. What does that mean? That clearly means one thing. Now, what you see at the back of my side is something what I call the concern areas or the fault lines. And the last one is specifically a challenge which I've been hearing for the last 15 years. We often joke in our UC meetings that we did some roundtables of banks, healthcare companies, life sciences, insurance companies around AI, and GCC leaders were also there. And we asked them, okay, identify the first few challenges about you managing AI in your respective GCCs. My data is all over the place. The same person said the same thing 10 years back also. It's not changing. And when we talk about, let's say, this whole piece of new age thinking around agentic AI, we are talking about building those kind of, let's say, frontier models. That's a different beast altogether. Which also means today, if someone is leading teams today, large team in AI, with all due regards, there could be a question mark. It's not about the span of control on the team side. It's about the right attributes and skills in the teams, which is required for tomorrow, if not today. And things will change faster than what we anticipated. Let me show you why. Because AI reset, instead of AI fluency, is now being discussed in the boardroom. The boardrooms and the CXOs are coming out with these remits that, look, tell us a new charter of AI capabilities, offerings, applications, and platform which leverages the new age AI tools. It's not about the previous, I would say, picture altogether. Big change. Second, enterprises, when they're talking about consuming AI, are looking at multitude of factors which is nothing but a new age. Agentic AI is all about transforming the business. And if you are a B2B or a B2C company, you're trying to reinvent the customer experience using a very different kind of, let's say, autonomous working systems altogether, and not take out the innovation in your enterprise. Start with the frontier models becoming very, very sovereign for you, actually very internal for you. And that change is happening much faster than what we anticipated. As I've always put it, and we will actually, because of the lack of the time, will actually disseminate this. There are few imperatives for GCCs and enterprises when it comes to what is a call to action when it comes to building AI capability practice in your organization. Could be an enterprise, could be even a provider firm, or could be a GCC. Well, it's simple. Simple because if the learnings of the past can be taken out, you are great. But if you're still carrying those relics of the past, a baggage, each of these new age AI reset thinking, if not changed, will land you into a big challenge. And it's happening all across. A lot of provider firms we talk, when I talk about, say, provider firm, consulting firms, even AI, pure play AI firms, BPM firms, technology firms who offer AI as a service or AI as a solution. They also need to really change the way they start proposing in front of the prospects and customers. It's a big writing on the wall for them that, look, if they need to get business, which I call it purely from a monetization, they also need to be topical in terms of what needs to be on offer. Which also means if you take, and this is again an aggregation of multiple discussions we have with the GCCs and enterprises, a whole suite of new use cases are coming up in agentic AI workflow across streams, which almost signifies now that, look, agentic AI workflow, one, is definitely there as a part of the horizontal kind of a, let's say, aspect, which is getting into the support functions, HR, finance, and other, I would say, business functions area. Second, it's also getting verticalized very, very fast. Which also means today the new capabilities out here in agentic AI workflows will start stemming in. Interestingly, towards the later part of the day, we have exactly one panel which talks about deploying AI agents and scale. And trust me, the panel is also wonderful in terms of the experience they bring to the table. And not to take out within this room with almost 300 plus data AI analytics leaders, and personally, I have a privilege of knowing them, many of them. One of the key aspects which is very essential as we look at one, keeping ourselves relevant from a career perspective. Last piece is important. I picked up from someone who rightly told me about this, that now they need to wear strategic, transformative, and innovative hats all in one. Second, for the team they manage, the new career pathways and lattice needs to be ushered in. Gone are the days where you can just have the business analysts, modelers, data engineers, visualization folks. That's an obsolete career stack now for AI professionals, not relevant anymore. And which is where I call it, if you look at this entire day, keep in mind it's an AI reset, which is nothing but a very potent concoction of one, the understanding of the business and the new age AI which comes together. And if that is good enough, I always keep on saying it. This event is also interesting from time perspective. Just to give you a teaser, not to take out the thunder from the ones who are leading the show, we would be also announcing the executive education programs. Some of you remember I had shown a slide. Some of you said, okay, the slides were there, but no commitment. We are showing you the commitment today. First kind of a program which is jointly built by another kind of a firm. We'll talk about that during the later part of the day. First, India's GCC cricket league. How much senior it becomes, we got to see in terms of the health issues and some of the absenteeism which happens normally. Industry 6, absolutely astonishing with the work which is happening, and all of them will actually demonstrate their artifacts today, what they're doing in terms of the execution components. Playbook, the agentic AI playbook, you should actually read today because we'll give you an opportunity to scan it. This is a wonderful piece of work as you carry this particular event through the weekend for you to ruminate about this. And last, we also released our first cut of AI makers for the ones who said, look, is that list conclusive? No, because we had a lot of debates. The first list is released. We would kind of, let's say, have a shooting around that. And one phrase I want to leave, or rather word. There is a word in Latin called tabula rasa. You can Google that. I actually did that a few days back. And this is actually meant, tabula rasa is meant for all the data AI analytics, GCC enterprise provider from leaders that start with a clean slate. No preconceived notions, no kind of a, let's say, built-up scenario. That's the only way today to survive in the AI era, to build AI supremacy. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show. Thank you.